What's up, people? Yu-Gi-Oh! Master 88 here with this edition of the Tech Report. Apple is killing iTunes, but your music isn't going anywhere. Apple is splitting up iTunes duties with Apple Music taking most of the load. Okay, let's go down to the first section of the article. Here we go. iTunes is as good as dead, but Apple Music is rising from its ashes. After 18 years of iTunes, Apple is ending the app and channeling you to Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and Apple TV instead. The free apps will be available across all your devices, which means that your music collection is too. Apple's announcement this week at the annual WWDC event joins other feature updates for iPhones. Oh, sorry about the pop-up add-on, people. I apologize for that. For iPhones, $1,000 at Amazon, iPads $249 at Walmart, and Macs, including iOS 13, iPadOS, and macOS Cantina software. But it's the iTunes announcement that had Mac loyalists up in arms. If iTunes dies, what happens to your music now? Closing down iTunes raises big questions for those who have built up musical collections for years. What do you have to do, if anything, to keep your investment intact? What if you use iTunes for Windows, and what happens to your iTunes match? Apple's musical moves underscore the company's renewed attention to services. Apple has long valued its ability to create premium experiences that keeps loyal users invested in the brand's ecosystem. For a company intentionally focused on hardware, iTunes was one of Apple's first major successes in this area. People who had bought music from Apple were less likely to stray. Now Apple is betting that Apple Music will largely pick up where iTunes left off. Here's what we know about Apple's plans to transition you to Apple Music. Does iTunes still work today? Yes. Apple still advertises iTunes on the website. iTunes will continue to exist for the time being, but Apple won't support it in Mac OS Cantina. The update coming this fall. Why is Apple ending iTunes? Apple said that iTunes was intentionally focused on burning and mixing songs on the Mac, but then suggested it was too big and bloated and lost its purpose. How about calendar and iTunes? Apple engineering lead Greg Federari joked during the presentation, I mean, you can have all your appointments and your best tracks all in one app. Apple describes Apple Music as being extremely fast, which suggests that iTunes' performance had gotten laggy. Do I still have access to the same number of songs with Apple Music? Yes. Apple advertises a catalog of over 50 million songs, plus collections of music, videos through Apple TV, and podcasts through the Apple Podcasts app. Scroll to the end for more details. Does my iTunes collection go away? No. Every song you ever bought, ripped, upload, or import will always be a part of Apple Music. When you upgrade from your current macOS version to Cantina, all of the files that are already on your computer will remain. Apple isn't liquidating anything that you already own, but it will recognize where the files live. Even my RIP CDs, MP3s, and playlists? Yep, even those too. You'll find them all in the Apple Music library. Will I still be able to burn a CD with Apple Music? Yes. If you have an external CD drive and the necessary cables, though this isn't something we've tested. What about backing up my device, restoring my settings, and syncing settings? iTunes is the app you think of for backups and syncs. and those compatibilities will exist with Cantina, just not in the Apple Music app. You'll find them by opening the Finder tool in Mac. That's the one with the square stylized icon of a smiling face that serves as the operating system's file manager. Just open it and you will see your device appear in the Finder menu. How will I move music to another device? If you want to move music to a device, open one of your media apps, click and drag from the music library to your connected device, and it will transfer over. What happens when I sync iPhone or another device? Today, iTunes pop up when you plug in your iPhone or to sync devices, but that's not the case with Apple Music. If you want to sync, you'll find the setting in the sidebar in the Finder. Apple is making this more opt-in. You trigger the syncing in Finder rather than opt out. You'll close the window if it pops up and bugs you. What happens to people who use iTunes on Windows? iTunes will continue to work on Windows as is. Will iTunes still work on an older version of Mac OS? You can still use iTunes on a version of Mac that predates Mac OS Cantina. Example is Mojave. But it won't be available when you make the upgrade. I'm confused. How is Apple Music different from iTunes? iTunes is a free app to manage your music library, videos, music, playback, and your music purchases and device syncing. Apple Music is an ad-free music streaming subscription that costs $10 per month, $15 a month, and for the whole family or $5 per month for students. Apple Music closely competes with Spotify, and you can listen to songs offline access across your devices. Do I have to subscribe to use Apple Music to use the music library? Yes, you do. You can still access your music collection if you don't subscribe to Apple Music. That is completely opt-in. Is the iTunes store going away? The iTunes name will fade away, but Apple will keep the store and its functionality in the Apple Music app. You can call it up if you want to buy new songs and albums, but if you do subscribe to Apple Music, you likely won't have much to use in the store. So as you guys can see, here's some more information about it, like what happens to the iTunes match. What if I make my own mixes? The list goes on and on. But anyway, people, that's pretty much this final article for today. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, and until next time, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master 88 saying see you later.